we also lead the industry, and that's on our control system. So we have our Pinnacle 2020 control system. So all of our dryers come standard with something that looks like this. This is actually just a demo. The actual one is on the machine over there.
Right.
But this is nice just to kind of showcase it. This is a demo unit. All of our dryers come standard with 10-inch displays, dual touchscreen displays. So you can run your dryer in a setup like this, or maybe you have all of your buttons on one side and a graphic overview of the dryer on the other side. So you can start, stop your fans, burners, take away fill system over here on the left. You can see it light up over there. Let's just actually shut everything off so you can watch me literally start up the dryer. You know, one of the first things we might do is start filling the dryer, so we get that running. You're going to start seeing calling for grain at some point here. The top of the dryer lights up. We might go ahead and start turning on the fans. So you see we got fans running in the upper chamber. That would be the two vertically oriented on our Delta series. You can start the bottom fan. You know, when you're heating up the dryer, you're going to see once the burners are turned on, you're going to start to see things light up over here, shaded red, so you know you're running. But what really makes this system nice is when it comes to diagnostics and things like that, we allow you to dial in all sorts of settings in terms of grain flow timers. Are you filling from empty? Gives you kind of a nice graphical overview so you know the sequence of when things are starting or stopping. And every page that you're on, for instance, this is a screen just on the fill system. There's some key components that are involved with the fill system. For instance, our rotary bin switch. So if you ever want to know, well, what's that component do again? Maybe if you're not as familiar with it, you can just click on these little icons. It gives you almost like an encyclopedia of all the different components.
To refresh yourself year to year.
The other thing too that a lot of people get scared about is when they are doing some troubleshooting type stuff, we have everything on these dryers are controlled by programmable logic controllers. So you have a nice graphical overview on each of the modules on your PLC. And you know what the signals are coming in and going out of them. It actually gives you the raw analog values, the temperatures.
So what he's saying is he doesn't expect an owner to know what this is, but if you have a problem, what he's trying to say is you can click on this, you can see your ohms and everything going on here, and you could call and say, hey, this is what's going on, this is where my levels are at, and then they can probably help you step through it a lot easier. Yep. We were at another dryer and he was saying they have an inlet and an outlet, and anything after that is just more data points that you can potentially just have problems with. Do you agree, disagree?
As far as controlling the output moisture on a dryer? Yeah, that's pretty much the standard way of doing it.
So you don't have sensors on your way down and all that?
Not moisture sensors. Okay. We do measure the temperature about midway through the heat chamber of the grain. Okay. And that's a nice kind of indirect way of giving you an idea of what you're going to see coming out of the dryer. We do have some guys that are more old school. They don't want to rely on a moisture sensor to tell them what's going on. Yep. They were brought up learning how to read the temperature of the grain midway through. So we have what's called the mid-grain temperature. Now it doesn't get used for the moisture control algorithm. There's a separate mode that you can run in. We call it TruDry. If I go back over to here and I go to my monitor screen, I can actually run this dryer in 3 different modes. I can run it manual, where I'm just changing the speed of the unload, 20%, 30%, whatever. I can run it in AccuDry, which is our mode of operation where it measures the incoming moisture, it measures the outgoing moisture.
So basically automatic
unload. Yeah. And then we also have a TruDry mode, which is going to control the speed of the dryer based on maintaining a certain mid-grain temperature. And again, while it's an older technique to control the unload rate of a grain dryer, a lot of guys still like to use the TruDry mode because it's more of an indirect way, and it's a lot easier to measure the temperature of grain than the moisture.
You guys are everything in-house on your system? You're not using the white box?
No, everything that you see here is our own proprietary technology, our control system. We do partner with some key suppliers for some of the electronics and the moisture sensors and things like that, but this is all developed in-house.
Has this been out for a while then, this touchscreen? I mean, this is kind of a proven concept?
Yes. Pinnacle 2020 has been out since 2016, 2017, so we're talking about 7 or 8 years now. And prior to that, we had its predecessor, which was our Pinnacle Light family of dryers. That was out since 2010. So we're talking about a combined 15 years with this platform.
Okay. So that's just a display. So this is what if you were gonna get this and put it in your grain shack,
Yes.
this is what it would be.
Yep, you can mount it up to 300 feet from the dryer itself based on
Okay.
the Ethernet cable limitations. You can always go to fiber and get it further than that.
One thing everyone's gonna ask is like, okay, this is great, but is it linked to my cell phone?
Yes, yes it is.
Okay.
We have what's called MC Trax. You can check it out on our website. It is a system that we've had in place for about 12 years. It remotely monitors your dryer anywhere in the world, or you can remotely control it. We do have some limited functionality just due to safety considerations, but you'll be able to shut down the dryer in an emergency situation. Sure. You'll be able to adjust set points like your plenum temperatures, your discharge speed, things like that.
Right.
You're also going to be getting text message alerts, so that when there's an alarm or some sort of a fault condition, you're going to get notified of that. You're also going to have access to trending data logs of your dryer for, you know, for as long as you want to look at that sort of stuff. This just happens to be a customer, just to give you an idea of what you can see. So this is MC Trax. This is our remote monitoring and control system. While this customer isn't necessarily running right now, you can still get a feel for the responsiveness of the app. You'll be able to look at historical inlet moisture, outlet moisture, kind of your average readings, kind of an overview of the machine itself. If it was running, you'd be able to see
Yeah, it'd be a lot more data.